Gurubhyo Namaha. Dear friends, welcome to the digital class of computer science on asmatguru.com. ಸೊ ನೀವು ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಚೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತನೋ ಅಥವಾ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತನೋ ಮುಂದೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಜಾಬ್ ಸಿಗಲಿ ಅಂತನೋ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಚೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀರ. I would like to tell you it is the right choice. IT industry has lot of options for you. ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಸೈನ್ಸನ್ನು ಕೆಲವರು ಸ್ಕೂಲಲ್ಲಿ ಕಲ್ತಿರ್ತೀರ, ಇನ್ನು ಕೆಲವರು ಕಲ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ. ಡೋಂಟ್ ವರಿ. If you have studied computer science already, it's good. If you have not studied computer science, not to worry, we will teach you everything from the scratch. Today's topic is problem solving techniques. What is problem solving? Problem solving is basically finding a solution to the problem. In general also we say, okay, let us solve this problem. Problem solving is solving a problem by applying scientific methods or any procedures. We cannot solve the problem directly. There are different stages which it has to go through. Let us study the different stages in problem solving techniques. The first one is problem definition, problem analysis, designing a solution using tools such as algorithm and flowchart, coding, debugging and testing, documentation, enhancement and maintenance. There are 7 stages in problem solving techniques. Each stage is equally important. Let us see what is problem definition. Problem definition is nothing but the question given to you. You have been studying from so many years, you have written so many exams. In exams you get questions. So that question itself is called as problem definition. Now the next point is how the problem definition should be. The problem definition should be very clear and precise. Why it has to be clear and precise? I'll tell you. If I tell you that you have to write an exam, this is, will you write an exam? This is my question. Suddenly from your end you will start asking when to write, what is the date, what is the venue, what is the syllabus. These questions will raise from your end because my question is not complete, my question is not clear, my question is not precise. So when the problem definition is given to you, it should be very clear and precise. There should not be any way for any ambiguity. There should not be any confusion. So that's how the problem definition should be. When the problem definition is given to you, what do? You just go through the problem and you understand the problem. To understand the problem should be stated without any confusion. So let us see what are the things to be considered while defining the problem. First thing is what the problem is all about. It should cover the concept. What is needed to solve it? The different parameters that should be considered to solve the problem. What the solution should provide? What should be the outcome? If there are constraints and special conditions. Problem definition clear illa andre tumba confusions create agbidutte. I just gave an example. Will you write an exam? Aga enagutte, I have not specified any other parameters. Nim kadeyinda yavag exam baribeku, ell exam baribeku, what is the syllabus? Ella questions nim kadeyinda barak shuruvagutte because the problem is not complete. Adanna avoid madake, when we are stating a problem, we have to be very clear. That is about the problem definition. The second thing is problem analysis. It is about digging more on the problem definition. We start collecting more data on problem definition. So what is analyzing a problem? Analyzing a problem is nothing but asking questions. What kind of questions? It is very simple. Why, what, how, when. Whatever data is required, you should ask the question and collect the data. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ವಿತ್ ರೆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಟು ದ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮಿಂಗ್ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಥರ ಡೇಟಾನ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. To solve the problem, we know that we should need some data that in programming language it is called as inputs. So problem anna solve ಮಾಡಿ ಆದ ನಂತರ there is some result expected. In programming language it is called as output. So input ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಥರ ಇರಬೇಕು, how many inputs should be there, in which format it should be there, ಇದನ್ನು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. Second thing is, what is the formula to be applied, what is the logic to be applied, that is the second step. Third step alli, after solving the problem, what should be the output, in which format it has to be, how many outputs should be there, this should be there in the third step. ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಅನಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡವ when you start analyzing the problem, that's called as requirement collection. ಏನು ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ನೀವು? How do you collect the requirement? You start reading the problem again and again. Then you will get to know which are the inputs, how many inputs should be there, what is the logic to be applied, then what is the outcome. So this is called as problem analysis. Third point in problem solving technique is designing a solution using tools. There are different tools available to design a solution. But as of now, we are going to study only two tools. One is algorithm, another one is flowchart. Today, we are going to study about the algorithm in detail. Because for any program development, any software development, algorithm is an important step. Let us look into the algorithm in detail. Firstly, I would like to explain what is an algorithm. An algorithm is a step-by-step procedure to solve logical and mathematical problems. This is the technical definition. When I say logical and mathematical, it covers the entire concept. The problem will be either mathematical or it is some procedure oriented where we have to apply some logic and solve it. So it covers the entire concept. If I have to say in simple words, what is an algorithm? Algorithm is a step-by-step procedure. It's a theoretical procedure. We are not going to apply any programming language or any software language here. What we are going to do here is we write down the steps to solve the problem. From step 1 to step n, we just write down the steps theoretically in whichever language. English, it may be English or it may be any colloquial language, it does not matter. To understand the algorithm, the person who is going through it need not be computer science trained, because it is explained in a general language without using any programming languages. So now let us look into how to write an algorithm. Algorithm should be written stepwise. There is a protocol to write the algorithm. It should always start with the keyword start and it should end with the keyword stop. This is the first protocol what we have to follow. Let us see an example which makes your understanding more easier how to write an algorithm. So now the problem definition what I have given here is develop an algorithm to add two integers. Develop an algorithm to add two integers. This is the very basic example. I have intentionally taken this because I want to make it very clear when the problem statement is precise and clear how the algorithm should be written. When the problem statement is little vague, how the algorithm should be written. So the step 1, as you all can see in the slide, step 1 is start. That's the keyword. It should always start with the keyword start. Step 2. Now look into the problem definition. Develop an algorithm to add two integers. There is no dilemma in it. I have not told numbers there. Numbers means it can be an integer or it can be a fraction. Here, two integers. It's very clear. So the program demands two inputs and that should be of the type integer. So the next step is taking the input. Only if we have two integers, we can go ahead and add them. input two integers. I have named those two integers. One is number 1, second one is number 2. And I have stored some value in it. Number 1 is equals to 10 and number 2 is equals to 20. Step 3. Now we have two inputs. The required inputs we have. Step 3 is to calculate the sum, adding those two numbers and getting the result. Whenever we add something or we process something, we should keep in mind, we should store the result in one particular place. That place in programming language is called as a variable. Here, the result of number 1 plus number 2, I am storing it in a variable called as sum. Look into the third step. Calculate sum by adding number 1 and number 2. I have included the formula also. Sum is equals to number 1 plus number 2. Step 4. This is the important step because we are going to display the outcome of the algorithm. Display the result or the output, and where is it stored? In the variable called sum. Step 5. We are done with the algorithm writing now. We are done with the logic part. So now we have to stop. You can if you see at the algorithm, step 1 is start and step 5 is stop. Not necessary every algorithm will contain only 4 to 5 steps. It depends on the logic. It depends on the programming constructs what we apply. But this is the basic algorithm. ನಿಮಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಲಿ, ಬಿಗಿನರ್ಸಿಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಲಿ ಅಂತ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋದು. ಫರ್ದರ್ ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಗೋ ಥ್ರೂ ದ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಗಾರಿದಮ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ. ಬೇಸಿಕ್ಕನ್ನು ನಾವು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಈಸಿಯಾಗಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಗಾರಿದಮ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಎನ್ ಅಲ್ಗಾರಿದಮ್ ಟು ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಟೂ ಇಂಟೀಜರ್ಸ್. There was no dilemma in the question. There was no formula required because everybody knew what to do. In this example, there are certain things what you should decide. I have not given the formula here. I have given the question. Write an algorithm to calculate simple interest. Now at this stage, you should know the formula. First thing what you have to do is write down the formula so that further there will not be any confusion. So simple interest, let me say it is SI is equals to P into T into R divided by 100. This is the formula, right? Okay. Now SI is a place or a variable where we store the output, right? Now how to calculate the simple interest? The calculation of the simple interest will come from this side. You have to process this formula PTR divided by 100. Now tell me how many inputs are required. Now we are in the second point. Remember, analyzing. How many inputs are required? This is known as analysis. You start questioning how many inputs are required. How many variables you see there? One is P, principal amount, T, time period, R, rate of interest. 3 variables you have and you should place the value there. You have to substitute the value there in order to get the result. Okay. So now there in the previous example, add 2 integers. The question was very clear. You have to take the integers only. Here I did not specify anything. What will you take? Let us take it as a number. Depending on the program application, it can be either fraction or it can be either or integer. P, principal amount. It can, if I have 10,500.70, that is allowed. Time period, if I have 2.5 years, that is allowed. Rate of interest 7.2, that is also allowed. Or if I have the principal amount as 10,000, time period as 2 years and rate of interest as 5%, that is also allowed. So in this case, it allows both integers as well as the fractions. While writing the program, we will look into it how to declare. As of now, let us consider all 3 as numbers. Okay. So let us start the algorithm. Always the step 1 should be Step 1 is start. Step 2 is deciding about the inputs, the number of inputs. Which are the inputs we have? P, T, R. So enter the value for P, enter the value for T, enter the value for R. Okay. Input taking procedure is over. Next is the processing. Step 3. Step 3. Now we have to calculate. How to calculate? Calculate simple interest. So here the simple interest, what variable I have taken? SI. That means in that particular variable we are going to store the result. So SI is equals to, what is the formula? P into T into R divided by 100. So PTR will have a specific value because in step 2 you would have already entered. So whatever may be the value you have entered, accordingly it will multiply, divide it by 100 and produce the result. That result will be stored in the variable called SI. Step 4. Step 4, after calculating, if you think the logic is over and you go to stop, that would be the wrong procedure because we have not displayed the output only. Using pen and paper you can clearly see the output there because you would have written, but in system or in computer when you are executing you make sure that you display the output. So here next step is display. Display output. Where is it stored? SI. Now the procedure is complete. So the last step, as per the protocol of the algorithm, it is stop. So this is how we have to write the algorithm. I explain it again. You consider the formula. In the formula you decide how many inputs to be taken. It is very clear, 3 variables are given, 3 inputs you need to take. That's called as analysis. Step 1, start. Step 2, we take inputs. 3 inputs we have to take. Enter the value for P, enter the value for T, enter the value for R. Step 3, using those values, we substitute those values in the formula and we go ahead with the calculation. We calculate the simple interest. SI is equals to P into T into R divided by 100. We get the result and that will be stored in SI. Step 4, display the output, SI. Step 5, stop. So this is how the algorithm should be written. Now 2 examples you have seen. The first one is when the problem is very clear and precise, you knew what type of data should be taken. Second one is the problem is very clear, but what type of data should be taken, you do not know. You know how many inputs should be taken, whether it is an integer or it's a fraction, you do not know. So in general we have considered as a number. So this is how you should analyze the question. You should understand the question. There are certain things which can be decided only when we are writing the program. When we are writing the algorithm, that should be broadly considered as numbers. There are 2 examples we have written, and the same algorithm can be converted to programming. Because we have the logic now. What we need to do is, we need to apply the syntax of the programming language and start writing the program. And every software language will have its own editor. It will have its own syntax and semantics. Accordingly, we have to write the program, compile, execute, and get the output. You have seen how to write an algorithm. You know the procedure to write an algorithm. Let us discuss about the characteristics of an algorithm. You can see in the diagram the characteristics. The first characteristic is it should be well defined and it should have well defined inputs. That means there should not be any confusion in understanding the definition of the algorithm or understanding how many inputs are required. It should be clear and unambiguous. There should not be any confusion. It is language independent. It does not mean that general language independent. To write the algorithm, we need to use one or the other languages. It means that to write the algorithm, we need not use any computer science languages. It should be feasible. It should be finite. That means algorithm should not go on and on and on. There should be some point where the algorithm will get terminated. It should have well-defined outputs. Whenever we read the statement of the algorithm, we should understand what should be the outcome after solving that problem. These are the characteristics of an algorithm. So these things we should keep in mind while writing the algorithm. Thank you.